All right, my friends, here we are. This is a little bit of an impromptu grad show. I got back yesterday, so I apologize for not making it at my normal Tuesday time, which I tried to do. That will come back in the future. I was at a tournament. I won the tournament. Hey, two senior tournaments in a row, bows. And Fat Hippo saw me there too. So that's cool. One thing is this list at the dojo. This is a list of all our graduates. It's for the last week. So the fact that I went from Tuesday to Thursday, I might have missed somebody. If you feel I missed you or I missed somebody, then you should tell me. You should tell me, bows. So, but I'm just going to go for it. And we got Sharon up first. Nice, dude. Okay. So here we go. Caternack says they were watching. There was poor Sam, beloved bookkeeper, BBK Chess on YouTube. She was streaming my game with Fed, and Fed playing white doesn't like, it was not that competitive, not that aggressive. So he offered me a draw. And I think it was like, it was pretty quick, dude. And Sam was like, this is bullshit, Kraai. What are you doing here? I take over the dojo stream and this is what you do to me, buddy. Anyway, sorry about that. Sorry about that. All right, let's check out Sharon. Sharon has graduated from the 0 to, let's see, no, she went from probably 3 to 4 and then 4 to 5. One thing we were just talking about recently at our Discord is, and I'd really like to see it, is to see a graph here, you know? So let's say, for example, in this one, it's the Lee Chess Classical rating that Sharon has as her preferred. Then it would be cool for us to see like, oh yeah, instead of just seeing like the change or something, to see, boom, a whole graph. And then also it would be cool if we could normalize that to the dojo rating, right? Because we have a conversion. And so if we did that, we could you could compare your graph to somebody else's, for example. Kostya's battling me. We got this battle for like who's going to be higher rated in a year. Because I'm going to be playing the US Senior Closed in a year. So you could do fun things like that. Anyways, let's check out what's going on with Sharon here. Mostly tactics. Let's see what we got. Okay, everyone's first chess workbook and 100. Mates in 1. Good. All right. Let's see if we got any games. No. Sharon seems new. And I think we're going to see more of Sharon. Sharon's basically just logging in here. So that's good. Let's go back. Now, Uni Matrix has graduated a couple times. Let's check out Uni Matrix. Dojo score of 25. Gained 81 points. Okay. Wouldn't it be cool to see a graph there, right? Totally cool. Pray for Kostya's leg. Jim Allen, what do you need to ask me? Yeah, ask me something, buddy. So, boom. Activity. Oh, this is a good pie chart. Now, there's not a lot of dojo points here, but pretty good breakdown. Now, something I want to say, if you're in this lower cohort, just a little bit of work, man, and this is our experience. You come to the dojo and you're rated 400, you start doing some work, boom, boom, boom. You're going to get there. You're going to get there, man. For sure. Time breakdown. Good. Good. Maybe we're even going to get some games and analysis here. This is looking good. And now this Uni Matrix, dude, he's come from the top and bottom. Now maybe it's a she. I got to stop doing that. I got to stop doing that. I'm trying. I'm really trying. All right, let's see if Uni Matrix has some games. No. Okay. Let's see what happens if we click on games analysis. Okay, and this is fine. And Blunder Games is just this thing for the under 1,000 group where you're allowed to play some faster games just with the idea of not hanging stuff. That's it. Don't worry about anything else. Hanging stuff. That's all we're talking about. All right, here we go. Boom. He's on Kostya's knees. That's right. Fred G. Now I remember Fred G. from before. Fred G's flying up here. You guys, we got to get a graph, right? We got to get a graph. All right. Activity. Tactics. Now, we want to go back to the last. This, I don't understand why there's these things over here. 500, 600. They did 47 points. Mostly tactics here. Let's click on the tactics. Oh, that's pretty good. All right. And we're going to guess no. Well, we're not going to find any games because they haven't done any games. We'll click on middle games. Okay, good. They did the game to memorize. That's great. All right, so this is Fred G. And as we can see, Fred G has already come up several times. Maybe this means Fred G demoted himself after being up there. Now, see, that's actually probably what happened. Because when you have a Lee Chess rating, and it's that high, you say to yourself, well, boss, I deserve to be up there with the big boys. No, Lee Chess 1600 is a rating of like 2, you know? That's the way the inflation goes these days. But still, Fred G, congratulations. We're going to see more of you, I'm sure. And now let's read what DM Liam says. Overall, having a set program of study and a supportive community has been very helpful. My game review with Milapa was extremely beneficial, and I have been enjoying the Polgar book. There you go. Polgar Dojo score 69. Let's go look. So 65 points gained. That's a pretty good one. Now what we're going to do is we're going to look at their last one, right? So I always go back because this shows what they did to get to the next cohort that they are in. And that's a pretty good breakdown right there. My opening is also 1%. I have to do a bunch of stuff still. I got to do a bunch of stuff. I got to add things to my own. Maybe I'll add that after the show because I did do some opening work last week, just a little bit. Okay, games and analysis. Genius. And I'm really digging this review with the plus. In general, in terms of the pillars of the program, working with the plus, working with the minus, that's something that we need to find a way to encourage more. And anyways, it's great when we see it happen because I feel like we haven't got that as dialed in as some of the other things that we have in the program. I mean, look at this. Look at this, dude. Look at this. Games and analysis. Beautiful. Let's see what the non-dojo shame points are. Oh, we're not allowed. I'm not clicking on there. Books. Okay, that's no shame. That just means dude was doing books that weren't in the program. Is dude gender neutral now? Can I say dude? Is that, I don't know, millennials have to give me the okay on that, you know? Because if I don't know somebody's gender, am I allowed to say dude? Nah, I don't know. Here we go. So, this is, maybe we're guessing, it's not a guess, it's David L. So this is pretty good. Let's click on David L here. This is at the Chess Emporium. Looks in time control classical. Okay. Okay, you're doing fine. Now, one of the cool things about this is, the moves to me, knight c3, also e3, both look fine. c4, as you said, also fine, right? Any of those moves are going to be okay, and you want to play whatever fits your intuition, as long as it's a developing move. Now here's an interesting thing. So bishop e2, in hindsight, I think this would have been a better move. Bishop d3 does not accomplish very much, whereas bishop e2 decreases the impact of bishop g4. I would say it for different reasons. The bishop here is not hitting anything proper. It's also in the way of the queen. Bishop g4, though, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. So, in any case, as long as you continue developing, you're going to be fine. So c5, and then I'm going to yell at you for the move b3. So, this is a very important point for people to understand, especially at this level. If you're a GM or you're at this level, what you need to understand is that you never want to give away time. c4 isn't that big of a deal. It's just a pawn push. That's all it is, right? You can go back to e2 then. b3, oh, buddy, you just gave black a huge developing move. Plus, then they can start wailing on the knight on c3 with queen a5 or something. Then you have something to worry about. So one of the cool things, I'm actually doing a chessable course about this, very short chessable course for beginners. But just keep developing, unless it's absolutely necessary. So, and now it's because you lost time that now bishop g4 is a little scary, right? Okay, bishop e2. Pop, pop, pop. Okay, pop. Knight e4, good move. Good move. We should give that one an exclam. Because now check it out. The d4 pawn is now in trouble. I considered the permutations of this exchange for quite a while. Good, good. So knight e5. And now you should be toast in this position. But let's see if your opponent can take advantage of it. Looks like they do. Knight e5. Exclam, and now you're going to lose. Wait a second, though. So here's an example of where tactics are in your games. They're in the puzzles, too. A lot of people are like, Kraai, we don't do enough tactics. It's right here. This is where you need to be thinking about it. So obviously things have gone bad. But are you losing a piece for sure? I'm not sure. Because on bishop takes, now, if they go bishop takes, we get out of dodge. So we're okay. And then bishop takes, we are down a pawn. We will be after they take on d4. But we are not down a piece, right? In fact, what are we saying here? It's a little bit confusing for black because there's this little problemito in the casito as well. So this is what I'm saying, you guys. The tactics are in your games, and that's why you want to spend a lot of time looking for the tactics in your games. You get some prepared tactic on Chess.com or wherever, you know there's something there, but you don't know in a game, and that's what you want to train yourself on. Pepper Chess, thank you for helping me resize my business. Let's see here. Let's resize a little bit, bud. Whoop. Let's resize. I thought I had it all figured out. But the boomer, you never know with the boomer, boss. You never know. Let's try it like that. And, is it okay? No, boss. See, I really want to focus on the annotations, of course. Oh, and boss. I know. You don't have to tell me nada. It's all a wreck. There we go. That looks pretty good right there. Thank you, Pepper Chess. Oh, man, I was talking away, and the boards weren't even looking good. Well, thank you for saying something. I was chatting away. Everything looking sloppy. Typical boomer GM moments. Going off on this dude about his development, and I can't even fix my board. Okay. So we're down a piece. They don't take the pawn. No one, well, okay, I have sympathy. Okay. Okay, maybe they're giving us a little love. Might as well run with it, baby. Here we go. Oh, bishop h3, what a move. Oh, dang. Now, I got to say, well, I guess this guy was kind of over. This was definitely a player better than us, right? In fact, let's just say you were not playing a chump here, right? This guy was not a chump. In fact, of all his moves, I don't think none of them seem poor to me. And so one of the things about playing in an over-the-board event is you will often get a mismatch. Let's say round one, you get paired up or something, looking like that's what happened to Anthony here. A very recent game. Okay. Excuse me, to David. He was playing Anthony. At least the mic was on. That's right. Okay. So, David L. looking pretty good, dude. Looking pretty good. They're already into, they're into the 900, 1,000. It's looking pretty good. All right, cool. So now we got K. And a lot of times you see, well, let's just check out what's going on with K. Okay, so my guess is they've just come to the program. Yeah. And maybe, they bumped themselves up from the lower level. Probably no games, yeah. Okay, so we're wishing Kay the best. And we're going to see Kay coming up with the next cohort. Also this, probably somebody just a jadubing on their stuff here. So yeah, not a proper graduation. All right, cool. Then we have Wolves. Now, Wolves wrote a speech here, and I like to read these speeches, so I'm going to read this speech. Most helpful. Structure, that's right, and approach concept, instead of a very expensive video course that doesn't help much in my opinion, but it is common these days. Yeah. Our friends at Chess Mood kind of have that model, and they wanted to partner with us at one point, and I didn't understand how we would kind of bring our two sites together. I like those guys. I think I've seen some of the vids. They seem cool. But video is a very passive thing, right? You don't have to do system 2 thinking when you're doing vids. We have some of our own vids, of course. Okay, here we go. Very helpful as well. How to study games with examples of Jesse doing it. Thank you. The idea for sparring and algorithms. And actually the opening repertoires would serve me as ideas. Okay. To improve, not much. The 1.0 was already amazing. The 2.0 also provided it with the surface. It deserves besides some minor adjustments. Only one minor point. I also have a cohort, plus and minus, outside the program, and prefer over the board to online chess. Sometimes it's a bit of a challenge to stick to the program and also work with the group. We mostly analyze games together and discuss tactics and mate patterns. While preferring the dojo in terms of content, I prefer the in-person work, but often on different content. I understand that totally. Maybe one could also have an option for OTB players to replace, for example, Puzzle Rest with some in-person tactics training. So that would not necessarily be outside dojo work, while probably being similarly useful. Yeah, I like what you're saying. It's great to have training partners outside the program. And of course, if you could convert your bros to the program or convert them to the idea like, oh, here's the stuff that we should be doing, then I think it would help your group too, because your group probably doesn't know what to work on. You probably get there and be like, well, should we do this today or that? And then I know with groups like that, sometimes it'll be like, screw it, let's just play some blitz chess, I've been in those groups. Doesn't matter what level you're at, you'll often get that. One thing, let's say about tactics, is it's great for you to do the tactics with other people, though, even if it's different tactics. And it'll end up, the skills you learn there will end up being worked with. You'll let's say if you're working on a Puzzle Rush score and you don't got it and you do those tactics on the side, it's going to help your Puzzle Rush score eventually. Analyzing games together is great. And again, if it's sometimes your games, then you are working on replicating the program essentially, right? Because you should also be going over other people's games as well. And then you can mark that as part of your content that you've done. Okay. So, jeez. That's cool. Let's check out Wolves. Wolves. All right, we got activity. And we're going to go to the last one, 77. Lots of games in analysis. Look at that. Boom. Let's look at the games in analysis. Games played, annotated, postmortems. Nice, dude. Review with plus, review with minus. Absolutely fantastic. Okay. Great total cohort time. Dang. So let's say something obvious. This is a grand graduation. And what I mean by that is they went from 12-13 to now 13-14. Took them 77 points. Took them 175 hours. Sounds like a lot, but for 100 points, when you get above 1,000, that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take. And this is their non-dojo work. German tactics book right there. And so maybe that's, for example, what this person is doing in their with their group of friends. That's a genius. Okay, this is really good. Okay, I'm liking this a lot. This is Wolves here. And I have a feeling we're going to see a game or two. So let's check it out. There it is. Wolves against Wallet. Oh, and Wolves, Est aus Deutschland. That's why he's got the German tactics book. So he's meeting his bros at the club, and they probably have German content, which is fine, right? And they're doing their German tactics book. Well, that's cool, man. Dude, I just want to stress, this is something like American players find it hard to even imagine, but I played in the Bundesliga back in the day, and it's so cool to have a team, and you have boards, several boards going down the row. You have somebody at the top who's better than you, right? And you get to go travel with this team, and it's like a competitive, fun experience, watching their games, and then people analyze the games afterwards. Oh, man. You have training sessions, and here's the Bamberg Open. Nice, dude. Okay, yeah. So, and this is not the DZW, but the DWC, the Deutsche Wettzahl. So last game of a 7-round tournament was quite exhausted and tired after. This is even the foreigners do losing wrong. It's my only grammatic. I just have one grammar pet peeve, man. It's not losing, it's losing. Okay, let's look at Wolves against Wallet. Dojo aggressive repertoire, baby. Here we go. Here we go. I had 2 aggressive repertoire games in my tournament, too. Beautiful. Really good. Really good. And this is the template that I talk about in the aggressive repertoire for white. And one challenge I'll say for the white player is like, let's just scope out what's happening. We've got this beautiful pawn structure pointing towards the king side. We want to move this pawn someday to free our bishop, to free our rook. But when they put the pawn on e6, it's not quite as deadly as when they put it on g6. Of course, e6 is more passive for black, right? Now, the problem is, first, back it up, Kraai. This bishop is outside the pawn chain. It is our bad bishop. We will get to exchange it. And that's our intention. We want to get rid of the thing. In the close Sicilian, black's one trump is that they have access and control over this square. So if I was playing, I just want to say that if I had one concern, it's am I worried about knight d4, right? And if I am, then I'll play bishop takes c6 and then play queen e1. Because if the dude captures back with the bishop, this is not such a big pressure on my pawn. In any case, I like it a lot. Queen b6 strikes me as mildly wrong. Yeah, okay. King h1. Let's call that a good move. Knight d4. Now we get the crisis. Bishop d7, knight d7, and now we have a real question about what to do. We played the aggressive queen g3. And this is really good note, actually. So let's read what Wool says here. Counterattacking g7 before trading on d4. I calculated some lines for knight takes c2, and all seemed good for white. In the analysis, I easily found a way black could take advantage of this move order. Next time, trade first in such a case or calculate more carefully. Play solid lines if you feel exhausted and tired. Okay. So, now I want to say that I'll be interested to see what you calculated here. So look, knight c2, and now you calculated bishop queen g7 and missed bishop f6. Now, true, that's scary. However, let's back it up a second and let's say rook b1. And we're going to ask ourselves, do you have fine compensation here? Maybe you do. It's not necessarily so easy for Mr. Bambisi in this position, because the knight's a little funky, wonky. We obviously have a threat. If bishop f6, we whack him this way. If castles, we're at least going to think strongly about f5. And if g6, we're going to think strongly about f5 too. And it's hot. Let me just say, you have pretty interesting compensation here. Now, in terms of the analysis, it would have been good to think about that, and also think about like what do you think the eval of the position is with pop, and let's say either knight e1 or knight d2. I'm a little nervous in this position for you, because let's say rook c8, I'm like, well, do I really got to spend all this time, boss, dealing with my pawns and such? I don't want to. Right? So, interestingly, this was kind of one of my questions about queen e1, is the knight d4 going to be a pain? Right? Is it going to be a pain? So, for example, you don't have to trade either. You could play a simplistic move like queen f2, simply intending bishop e3 probably next, right? Also, maybe taking the thing. And you have this long-term attacking setup, right? Now, why do I stress this? Because something I'm appreciating is that when you go over your games, and you play this kind of structure a bunch, you will become very good at it, So forget about the computer and stuff. It's just like, oh, let's get into the analysis of this kind of positions, all the tactics, and then later it's like, oh, you turn into somebody mean, man. Because, memorizing some opening lines, that's kind of for chumps, Yeah. Okay. We have one question here. Let's talk about what C.M. Hector is saying. And I think we are talking about the position with just rook b1, right? So how did this go? It was queen g3, knight c2, and then what happens? Rook b1. And Hector says knight d4 back, and if queen g7, bishop f6. So first of all, if I was going to be worried about like some active plan, I would be a little bit more freaked out about this trying to steal my pawn. This one, I have a couple options. Queen g7 is the big one, and I do believe in it. Let's just take that thing, and then let's say you go here, and I go here. I believe in our position. As long as we don't get hosed by knight f3 and bishop takes c3, which we might. We might have to worry about that tactic. But let's pretend for a moment that that tactic didn't exist. I would believe in the white position because our king is safer. So let me just say, this is where tactics always come into the equation. I didn't see this instantly that we had this problem. But now looking at it, that might be kind of a pain. Though even here we have interesting compensation with e5. Let's take a moment. We have interest. There's interesting things happening here, man. There is some interesting juice happening in this position. Even the absurd-looking b4 comes to mind. Black's king, you know, when I take on g7, it's not going to be happy on the queen side. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that, though. It's just an interesting position. And if you analyze it, you will become dangerous. And if anything with wolves that I want him to see is just because you lose a pawn doesn't mean that your compensation ends. Pop. So, for example, what's the problem? When we take on d4, we activate the c file for black. Could we have played rook f2? Seems like, maybe knight d4 is just as good, but I also like white in this position. I can also think about rook b1, b4 here, at some point bishop e3. Any case, let's look at how it goes. Pop, 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 queen c5. Why wouldn't black play rook c8 to get more pieces into the game? Pop, pop. Makes no sense. As is often the case at this level, people are going to refuse to develop their pieces. If the rook were on c8 here, it would be a lot more annoying to play bishop e3, but now we're just going to play bishop e3. Thank you very much. Now that's a terrible move. Okay, so he's worried about bishop h4. No need. No need to be worried about bishop h4. So your candidate moves here should be f5, bishop d4, and maybe some kind of rook ac1, right? Active. Bishop f2, let's just talk about it. Bishop h4 is no big thing, right? And now you just blocked your rook and you wasted a tempo. ChessDory is rating. Thank you for rating, ChessDory. Bamberg. I had never played a tournament in Bamberg, but I remember going through there. So, ChessDory, thank you for rating. A lot of times people rate and I'm so involved going over people's games, I don't always look. So thank you for rating us. All right, castles. Queen e3. What are you doing? What are you doing? Then this guy's determined to trade the queens. Now here, if I was white, I'd definitely go back to h3. All right, we're kind of moving around here. Okay, well, decided we're going to go that way. Okay, good move. At the very least, it's frightening. And now your bishop, look at you, you're being a real fancy pants. This bishop pose. Being a real fancy pants. All right. Who's better and why? Now it's hard for me to evaluate. There we go. Now, I don't know if I'd give it a double exclam, but there it is. It's the end of the game, and dude needed to do something about it right away, in fact. What's interesting is here, you could play queen h6 here too, right? And there's no taking on e4. So it's like you lulled him to sleep here. You came in, and now dude needs to play something immediately. Immediately. Knight d5 would have been clever, but what is he supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? You gotta say what he should supposed to do. I think it's f6. So you could play rook f7. You can still play your knight d5 then though, right? All right, so this game looks like it's about to be over. No entiendo. No, okay, gave up the pawn. All right. Okay, little passive. I was thinking to myself here, I was like, he's going to bring that bishop back to f2. Dude loves the bishop on f2. Okay. Good move. Good move. There it is. Okay. That was a good game. That was pretty good analysis too. So let's go back for a second. And so Wolves has spent, let's go back to the last cohort, 175 hours to make it to the next level, doing the work. I like it a lot. Boom. Games played 30. So they did it, by the way, in 30 games. Also, we want to check what their default rating is. Look at that. Dojo Graduates, preferred. Beautiful. 124 in 30 games. Let me just say, one thing that I think is mildly frustrating for players who are playing like over the board, which I definitely recommend as a better way of improvement, is it just generally takes a little bit longer to make it to the next level because you're playing fewer games. You're playing a bunch of games online, even with the statistical variation, you're going to go up a lot. You'll still go down, but you'll go up a lot. You know, so in 30 games to achieve 124 points, hey, Bobs, that's great. That is fantastic. Okay. All right, beautiful. So that was Wolves. Learned chess as a child and played from 12 to 17. Started 2022 in my 30s again. Yeah, cool. Wolves should tell us what his team is. What his team is. Back in the day, I played for Viernheim. We made it from the second Bundesliga to the first. Oh, man, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. All right, we're going to look at Adamski. Adamski back in the day was a name of a famous player. I've never seriously reviewed my own games before. Doing so has been very helpful so far. I also like the Polgar mates. I just got to say, one thing that I thought I was going to get a lot more pushback on was the Polgar mates. And at first people were like, this is dumb. But enough people have appreciated it that if you start calling them dumb in the Discord, then other people will at least say baus. You give it a chance. And that's all I wanted. I wanted people to say baus, give it a chance. Whereas, if you take David Pruess, he's so proud. Like a lot of people who are titled players, like, I don't need to do it, baus. And he's not tried. He's like my daughter when she's like, she doesn't like bananas. She's never tried a banana, okay? There's all these foods she hasn't tried, and she says she doesn't like them. That's like Pruess and the Maiden Twos. You know what I'm saying? Robert Ramirez, thank you for rating, baus. Thank you for rating. Yeah. We're here. This is a weekly show. This is called the Graduate Show. I do this every week, usually on a Tuesday. But I got back from the Senior Open thing, which I won. Thank you very much. So we're doing it a little bit in an abnormal time, let's say. Adamski. All right. Boom. 92 points of gain since joining the dojo. Activity. Oh, look at that, baus. Look at that. Oh, wait. I got to go back. This is what they did. They did it with 14 points in 14 hours. That's not a lot, which means dude is just going to keep flying. Might be a they. So I got to get my pronouns straight. Tactics, let's look. A little bit of everything, but not much. So when you do this little of work, you're flying, you're going to keep flying because you have not reached your level yet. Anything close to a plateau. Here we got a game with Adamski, 65 moves. Let's take a look. You're doing fine. Now, the main reason not to play bishop e6 here is because the e file will eventually be a source of contention because rooks are going to appear on it, and bishop e6 gets in the way of that. But you are developing your dudes, and that's very importante. Doc Dave, thank you so much, man. So, bishop d3, bishop e7, castles, bishop f4, knight d7. Okay, rook e1. So, one thing about this kind of position that I would like to stress is some people will look at this and just be like, God, this is boring. There's nothing going on. But that is just false. Just false. In this position, white is slightly better because they have the jump on development and because the bishops on e6 on e7 are in the way of what I described as the fight for the e file. At some point, knight e5 might become annoying as well. Rook e8, and now it looks like a superficial move here to me, knight g5, encouraging our bad bishop to move, which we gladly do. So here, more plausible moves to me would be h3 or knight e5. The point of knight e5 is really to say, bows, if you ever take me, then I will take back, move this knight away, which is your big defender of the king. And if you don't take me, bows, he's just sitting there in your face, sniffing around, you know, one of those knights. Nah, you don't like him. Yeah, no one does. Here we go. So from my perspective, white has just weakened their king side dramatically and not achieved too much. And unless this does something amazing, maybe it will. Maybe it will. First of all, if you're going to do it, you didn't have to do any of that f3 stuff or knight g5 stuff, right? It's been there the whole time. Yeah. So one thing as a question that should be asked is, a tactical question is, would it have been possible to prevent this knight c7? If we can prevent it, for example, then really we can say these are chump knights and that was a chump deal to play f3, g4. So, question, can it be done? And I think the answer is yes. We go check to the rook, and now you have two choices. You take on e8, or you play c3. If you take on e8, I'm just going to take back with a knight and say, bows, I got it covered. I got it all the way covered. And then if you play c3, then I calmly play bishop a5. Ah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, bows. And I've got this thing covered. I'm going to push the little dowgity-dowg away, and then the mice are going to come to play on the king's side, my friend. There we go. Beloved bookkeepers here. I was just apologized earlier, Sam. I was like, she started streaming my game, man. Only lasted a couple moves. It's funny. Fed is known for offering me a draw. Anybody a draw, and he just doesn't have the energy anymore. This guy's a world-class player back in the day. But, you know, to fight, play a GM and try to win, it's hard, man. So I knew that he might offer me a draw. And I had this conversation with Kostya before the round. And I was like, dude, I'm black. What do you think I should do if he offers a draw, you know? And Kostya's like, dude, just take the draw, rest a little bit, go to the next round. And I was like, dude, if Pruess heard you say that, he would cancel you so hard, like you wouldn't even know who your mama is anymore. He would cancel you that hard, dude. And Kostya, not understanding the gravity of the situation, was like, whatever. Well, I'm a big millennial boy. I don't need to worry about Mr. Pruess. And I'm like, you better worry about. That guy's gonna come at you with a stick if you start taking draws. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna come after you with a stick. So anyways, we had that conversation to kind of put myself in the mind, and I like the second right before he offered me a draw, I'm like, I'm comfortable here, man. Let's go. Let's just go. And then he offered me a draw, and I was thinking back in Kostya, I was like, boss, fine, we'll just take a draw. Had I known that Sam was streaming the game, had she told me, oh, well, I would have tried to at least put on a show. Yeah. Okay, here we go. So, tactics point, he loses a pawn. In your analysis, my friends, look for the resources, because now we lose a pawn. We still have the resource of bishop a5, but here you resign, basically. Now, I know you won this game. At a higher level, though, this is tantamount to resignation, because now you're down a pawn and a piece exchange. Knights on the rim are dim. Yes, it's true. Activating the bishop. Okay. Knight f2 is called for. So notice, they don't fix their bad pieces. They just leave them sitting there. Check to the miserable knight. What would have been more appropriate? Knight f2. Fix your pieces, bows. Okay, we're going to get a little wander. Have a gonder? Is that what we say? Wander, have a gonder? White's doing a little bit of a yard sale here. No one quite understands. No one gets it. There's all kinds of things happening here, my friends. Check to the miserable king. This is a pure yard sale. Check to the miserable king. Oh, man, look at this bad boy. Check to the miserable king. Queen e4 check. Bam, baby. My b pawn is running. There it is. There it is. Yeah. So, all right, good game. Now, a couple things I want to stress. The tactics are happening in your games. That's what's good to think about. And also, it's really good to think about how you got this slightly cramped position and why white is a little bit better. Putting evals, just forcing yourself to put evals into the position will force you to think about such things. Okay, now, I was a chump here because, look at this. We have these beautiful clock times. And what can we see from the clock times? They're not thinking at all. Look at that. Because they're getting 30 seconds every time, right? So they're just not thinking at all. You can see the clock times down here. Watch. Right here. They're not thinking, right? And both, especially black, has played some bad moves. They're still not thinking. Knight g5. Bishop g4. Look at this, you guys wait time out. Come on. Hey, Adamski, buddy. Hey. You're not using any time, bows. Any time. All right, now we're going to go to the tactical moment and ask ourselves, how long did dude think on knight b5 when there was, in fact, a way out? Okay, I haven't looked yet, and I want to say, moments like this will happen in your game, even as you're a GM. And what do I mean? There's some move, you didn't see it. No, you didn't see it, bows. Okay? But then, at that moment, you got to really go deep. All right, let's see if dude goes deep. So, up to this move 14, less than 30 seconds of move were taken. And let's check it out. Ooh, Adamski. Adamski, boss. You see that? You spent like a minute, less than a minute, on the key move. And then c5, less than nothing. Okay? So we're going to publicly shame you on the Discord later today. I'm writing it in the notes. Shame Adamski for moving so fast. Peer pressure and shame are what motivates the dojo, my friends. Okay. Well, Adamski, let's go back. Baus, you will make it to the next cohort in no time at all if you slow down. That's what is needed, my friend. That is what's needed. And I'll remind, sometimes these people have different Discord names, and a Boomer GM has I think anyone would have a hard time putting together. So I'm just making a note that it's Lafa. Okay, let's keep moving. And then we got pass pawn. Let's look. I've seen pass pawn around. So, ChessCom Rapid, 55. Good. Activity. Let's look at the last one. Not too much is happening over here. So I'm not sure what's quite happening with pass pawn. This might be one of those just Jadoob ones. You know, this might be a Jadoob. Lots of opening work being done. And you can see there, 6 hours in the total cohort time that are non-dojo. Okay. And it's a little bit of endgame work. Okay. So yeah, we're hoping to see more of pass pawn in the future. So now we're going to get Gibbs. Let's read what Gibbs has to say. I really enjoy the fact that a big part of the program deals with playing and analyzing my own games. I already have read a lot of chess books and continue to do so, but I find that analyzing and learning from my own games is the most useful learning tool there is. 98 points. Oh, I'm looking forward to looking at Gibbs. But before we do that, let's check out what Scott has to say as a question. How unusual, at your level, was the blunder your opponent made in your big win? Seemed kind of obvious to me, and you wouldn't see something like that in Title Tuesday. I guarantee you would. You'd guarantee you would. Took Kostya about a minute to see your queen f6 was strong. No, that was a very natural result of the position, actually, where it was a very rich, strategic, and tactical game, and dude was getting very low on time. I predicted that we would both get low on time because, and I mean way early, at the early stage of the game. You can feel it when it's like a difficult game. And so you can have that combined with exhaustion. And the theme of my queen entering was kind of like what I'd been looking for forever, because he had weakened his king, and, you know, it's a big open position, big mess. So it happens all the time. And if you don't believe me, go look at the World Cup games being played today. All kinds of blunders are happening. That is the nature of chess. People much stronger than me are going to blunder. Okay. Gibbs. So we've got 147 points gained. USCF. I like this a lot. I like this a lot. Okay. Like I said, it's harder to do to get a gain over the board because there's less games. If you play a bunch of rapid games, for example, there's just going to be a statistical variation where at some point you're going to go higher, right? And I also much rather prefer it as a coach, in the sense that I know that over the board, people are going to be more focused, both you and your opponents. You play ChessCom Rapid, you're going to be playing chumps who, they got other things going on in the background. They're listening to music. They're looking at some other thing. They're swiping left and right on Twitter. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not focusing on the game. And usually they play super fast. Okay, so let's take a look at Gibbs here. Here's the activity. We're going to go back to the last cohort. 98 points. I'm liking this a lot. I'm also liking the games and analysis is so strong. Also so strong in the breakdown in the time. 171 points. Beautiful. Now, let me stress that when we do, when we get like, let's say we play chess a while and we've kind of hit a spot where it's hard to progress, you're going to need something like 171. At my level, you're going to need more like 1,000 hours, at least. Well, at least you're going to need several years. So anyways, what's a big point? The further you go up, the more competitive it is, the more hours, the more time, more energy you're going to need to make it to that next energy state, I was going to say, to use an analogy from physics. Thinking about a little bit about what just passed through my mind is I had a conversation with Kostya, and that kid needs to go for the GM title now, right? Like, he told me his top FIDE rating was 2420, and the big challenge is going to be having him reach 2500 FIDE. I did it. It's a very hard road, and he's got a window of like 5 years. Like literally like a 5-year Soviet plan is what's required. And let's just pretend it's 100 points. It's a little bit more than that right now, but let's say it's 100 points for him to get there. Dude, thousands of hours. Thousands of hours to make that jump. And it's worth it for him. It's worth it both as a personal goal, but he could even tell himself a story like, oh, if people at the dojo see me do this, it's good for the dojo. Because dude's dojo obsessed. It's great. It's great for all of us that he's dojo obsessed, right? But for his own chess, dude needs to drill down. And he's doing BS with his games and analysis because he's like so consumed with the dojo that he's not able to analyze his games properly. He's like showing them online afterwards and just pretending that that's a game analysis. It is not. It is not. So anyways, dude needs to get it serious, but I'm just trying to say, beautiful to see this many points and this much time being spent. Okay, let's look. Bang. We got some good games with Gibbs here. Let's check it out. Could be Jeebs, but I'm going to go with Gibbs. And this is Wednesday nights, playing Vivek Kumar, maybe one of these Indian kids. Let's check it out. Okay, I spent a bunch of time here. I realized that I would be losing a pawn if I went for the e4 pawn break, but the d6 bishop is loose, and none says loose pieces drop off. Okay, so this is a very fancy moment to play e4 like this. And the other move would have been to play knight d2. If there's an advantage to doing it this way, it's that we're trying to like meet e5. So for example, knight d2, e5. Now if we play e4, they can always smush us a little bit with d4. So it would be nice to have a note talking about what the strategic reasons, perhaps, of playing e4 are. I think this is a great note here, though. So pop, pop, and dude takes it. Maybe a little, maybe arguably foolhardy. And then we get this one, knight c3. With this great variation. Pop, 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 pop. And what you should say here is something like, oh, I've got great compensation. The knight will go to e5. The knight on e4 is loose. Other things could, of course, be done, like knight ef6. And then you could claim that you have compensation because you got their good bishop, and this guy's a chump. So, in a similar, another variation you could put up there would be pop, 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 and then we put the queen somewhere, maybe here. And then also, so this is a great position to analyze because it really is positional compensation that you get here by playing this pawn sack. So that is super cool. Okay, so if you do not like queen d4, you should put a question mark next to it. Knight d2. And now the kid plays bishop c5. From a positional standpoint, the kid should very much consider e5 because that would help get his one problem piece out. Is this for real? It looked to me like maybe you are losing some things. Okay. So here's an interesting question. Do you have compensation if you trade the queens? The answer might be no, but let's consider. The problem is your pawn here is a chump. But let's not give up right away. Let's say we go this way. And the reason I did it that way is if we go this way, now my king can't come to f1. Okay, and I have to play king h1 because my rook is hanging. So rook fd1. Now, he has a back rank problem, obviously. If bishop f2, king f1, I'm going to make the claim that he still has a back rank problem. And it's not over yet, though. My friends, it's not over yet. Maybe bishop b6. And then 95. Okay, what's the idea? The idea is that the bishop is so bad on c8 that we still have compensation. Okay? Is it true? I don't know. I don't know, Bows. It's honestly a little bit. You probably do. You probably have some compensation here. Yeah. 2 pawns. It's a lot. And you're definitely not better, but you're not toast. Whereas after queen e5, you're just hanging all your stuff. And you write it there. Not fun, but I'm in the game. It's kind of fun, by the way. It's kind of fun. Like you get this position, and as long as you work out, that knight f2 can't be played. I don't think it can. Then I think you're golden, And your move rook a e1, maybe you could do it that way too. Maybe. Yeah, maybe you could do it that way. Okay, so queen e5. Now we're down a bunch of stuff. Now, here's an interesting thing. Black should be thinking ASAP about playing e5 and fixing the bishop. So this move is already a little suspicious because it is not doing that. Okay. No, I think dude he definitely goes for the heroic play here. All right, so here we go, knight g5. And black should consider f5 to block off this business and to not open up the coconuts on the dark squares. Now, here, maybe, but we definitely want to analyze queen h6. Your opponent has given you a little love here, right? And the variation still goes on. f6, knight e4, e5, and then we're going to consider f4. And then what's happening? I don't know, but I'm telling you as black, I'm a little worried, and I'm like, Bows. Why? We didn't need to give white all this stuff. Thank you for the queen. And, the other thing about this is if he just played queen takes knight, dude is up a rook. He's up a rook. He goes this way, we're toast. So even if you missed, the other one, you're down a rook. Mr. Crook, you're down a rook. Yep. It's bad. So, resignation. Okay. Good. Pretty good notes. And I think this is a great example of what you could think of as a template for a different kind of pawn sacrifice, which is really a positional pawn sacrifice when this all goes down. And, if you analyze this kind of thing deeper, you can get a good sense of this flavor of position. And if you're going to play this Englishy stuff, you'll get stuff like this often. You'll get this kind of thing often. Can you check my profile at Oliva Ya 2? I might do, but first we got to do the grad show. We're doing the grad show. Yep. Okay, so Gibbs, you're doing great, Bows. Doing great. I like that cohort breakdown. All right, what do we got here? We're going to go, there's two more, and then, go back up. Hector Gray. I feel like I've done Hector Gray before, but Hector might just be flying up. You can see he's graduated a bunch of times before. Let's read what Hector says. Really like the tall games, and I'm definitely going back to them. But the highlight of this cohort for me was definitely my only annotated game, which took me way too long to finish, so much so that I'm almost ready to graduate again. In it, I explored a very critical line in my repertoire, where I didn't have many other resources to do so. So I ended up using the engine quite a bit, but I still wanted to follow the dojo spirit, so instead of doing the typical run the computer, copy the lines, and stick an eval at the end, I commented on everything and considered natural moves as well. Okay. Oh, that's great, dude. Let's look at Hector. So we're going to look at what they did to get there. 58 points, 44 hours. Right? So Hector is on the move. And we're probably going to see this game. And look at that. Actually, you can see the time spent. Dude did 41 hours. Wait, let's click. I think it was maybe 27 hours on the one game. We'll see. I think there's only one in there. So that's pretty cool. If you're just joining us, this is the Chess Dojo Graduate Show. I do it once a week. Usually I do it on Tuesday, but I got back from this tournament yesterday, so I had to mix it up a little bit. And these are the people that moved up to the next cohort. Cohort is every 100 points. Boom. Oh, we do get this one. Now, I want to be sure I get the one game that he's talking about. I'm going to assume it's this one because it's the most recent one. Sharp games only. Okay. Yeah, looks like this is the one. Okay. Right, and he's saying a lot of the stuff that we just read in the notes. So let's look. Pop, pop, pop. Mm-hmm. It's funny, back in the day, this was known as the Larson. Oh, dude, it's just such a... do you have to tell the story, Kraai? All right, let me tell the story. So this is a bummer of a story, but because of this opening. So here's the thing. I got to hang out with Jen Shahada over there at the U.S. U.S. Open is held concurrently with the senior Tournament of Champions thing that I played in. All kinds of like functionary people, U.S. chess you normally don't see. They come out there once a year. I see Jen more often than that. Anyways, so, Jen's big cause is women's chess. And women's chess, it's complicated for a number of reasons, but one of the big problems is like slimy dudes, hitting on especially young girls at tournaments, making them feel uncomfortable. And why am I bringing it up now? Because chess, there's been a number of dudes messing with younger boys. Oh, buddy. And this story of this guy Larson, man, that's a like horror story number. It's up there. It's up there, man. That's either number 1 or number 2 in terms of horror stories in the chess world that I can think of, at least immediately come to mind. So it's, I'm just saying, it's not just with the young girls. I think the young girls, it's more open, and there's more shame associated with the case of the young boys, so we don't even talk about it that much. But that's what was going on with this dude, man. Oh, man. Why'd you have to bring it up, Kraai? We're having a nice graduate show here, buddy. Hey, why'd you have to bring that up, man? Oh, okay, here we go. So, I'm glad they renamed the opening. Snyder. Why did I call it the Larson? Excuse me, Snyder. That's right. It was this in the school. Back in the day, it was called the Snyder Sicilian. Okay, here we go. Is my worst piece to do the pawn structure? Good. Now, let me just say, when I was a Sicilian player, I would play this way against the B3 Sicilian as well. And the bummer I always felt from the white perspective is if they play knight c3, it's like, well, boss, why are you putting it behind your bishop, That's weird. All right, so here. Yeah. Okay. Black can play all kinds of things, right? Oh. Here's where I like Reprintsev's idea. I don't see a way to challenge black otherwise. Okay, maybe I'm into it. Okay, I'm into it. Okay, at first I was like, no, you just invested 1,000 tempi into that bishop. But maybe you could do it this way. Okay, maybe it's growing on me. So let's talk about it. If black plays EF, there will be a problem with the D5 square. If black plays GF, it's just looking at me a little hard for them to figure their business out. So, Queen H5. Oh yeah, that is a good move, dude. Hector, that's a good move. I avoided starting with knight c3 due to h5, which stops queen h5. Now that's some deep knowledge, boss. That really is some deep knowledge. Because h5 is not the most, if you're black, it's not the first thing you're going to think of unless you really know it. And there's a lot of Sicilian positions, usually in the Richter Rouser, where you get exactly this pawn structure, usually with d4 already been played. And h5 is important to hold that h5 square. And you can see like the queen's now super annoying on h5. Okay, a6, we have our question we're probably going to take. And now bishop c4 is what he likes. Now, I'm going to guess, though, that first of all, in order to feel the heat, feel the heat of bishop c4, you got to see that e6 no lo puedo. Do they have e6 somewhere in here? Oh, my God. Because of bishop e6. Now, I have a feeling it would be maybe good for the notes, but I have a feeling that that's what white didn't fully see. So let's look. Bishop c4, knight e5, knight c3. There's only been one game with this move order, including online encounters. So all of this analysis is cutting edge. Okay. Now, for me, I want to just say about this cutting edge stuff, I feel white's already much better after queen h5. And if there's a problem with bishop b7, we're going to see what black does. But maybe I'm worried about queen d7 trying to extricate my beautiful queen from her position. Well, I mean, we'll maybe talk about that in half a second. But even then, even if I have to play h3, I think I still like white's position a lot. Okay. Now, this is really fascinating what you're writing, Hector. I took on d7 because of a bias towards the knights versus bishops in this type of position. Now, we should talk about why, though. And for me, anyway, I would say the old maxim, like knights are better in positions with damaged pawn structures because they can hop around. They're not committed to the one color. They're good at the blockading squares, right, where you often get with weakened pawns. Okay, I want to do a little bit more of this analysis here. Knight e5, knight c3. Well, that's a fancy move, Bows. That's a fancy move. And first of all, we got to say this would be the human move. Bishop g4, right? And so again, this is where maybe the computer is tricking you, because the computer might have said bishop g7, okay? But there's a reason that a human mind would instantly be like, well, bishop g4. That's why I'm not playing knight c3. And then you have to find this move, right? Now, the computer found it right away. This is why though, like when you use the computer, you got to ask yourself, well, wait, what is the obvious human move? This is where the computer can be really tricky. Can show you some stuff, the computer can, of course, right? But you got to really ask yourself, well, what would I do if I was black? You know? All right, so bishop g7, bishop e2. Why does the computer want bishop e2? To stop bishop g4, right? And then this is like best play according to the computer, right? Now, maybe the computer says equal here. I like white. Why does the computer like white? Why does the computer think that black is maybe okay? Because the computer is in love with the two bishops. Loves those people. You know? It really loves the bishops. For us humans, I don't know. I don't know. So, this is where dude went really big. I don't know if the computer helped him. And then we wanted to talk about queen d7. And I have a feeling the computer told dude to play that. And like I said, if I was going to worry about bishop d7, that's the move I'd be worried about. And I would want to have a follow-up, like, for example, on knight c3. Computer wants f5, but what's the human concern? That's the human concern. And then doesn't black get to say, I don't have any problems for the rest of my life? That's what it looks like. Okay, so bishop d7, question mark. Good. I like what you're doing. I like what you're doing. I don't know what the computer apparently wanted you to do something else, but you didn't say what you wanted. Did you want to play f4 instead? I don't know. I like what you're doing. e6. And so let me just say, because dude did not extricate your queen, you're just doing great, and you really have an attack on the light squares. Yeah. I'm with you, b5. And why is it bad? Because these chumps don't understand development. They don't. Knight g3. And rook d1 or castles. Castles, to me, is what I would end up doing. Good. And now, moment of truth, Bows. Moment of truth. To me, by the way, this seems a little too frisky for black. Like I don't think it should work out. It's hard to believe, right? So we got a couple moves. This would be the moment to really spend some time thinking about it. And actually, look, do we have times here? I don't, okay, so it looks like these are minutes, right? These are minutes. Let me see if I get the time control. So yeah, plus 30, so I think 60 plus 30. And so black has not used any time, as is their wont, as is their wont. And now in this position, I want white to think. So rook d1. And then how much they think? I don't even understand that 140 at the bottom. Does anyone understand how it goes 29 to 140? Does that mean dude thought for 1 minute 40? It's a little bit hard for me to figure out. I think that's actually what's being said. So, dude considered castles, but thought maybe that was suicidal. And then castles short, dude writes, we're almost out of the engine-fueled opening analysis, but this line deserves it. My stockfish doesn't realize this equalizes even at depth 32. Now you're talking about equalizes. I think white is better. I think white's better. So would you know that black is better here just by looking at it? I don't know. Not clear to me, Bows. Not clear to me, man. And if you know, there's some real concrete questions about who's better and why here. We would have to, I guess, start with Queen A5. We'd go here, and then we'd ask, can you mate me, Bows? And what's happening? Well, there's some questions on the table. There certainly are. For example, it's hot. We're just going to say right away, this is hot. E6, we're gonna contemplate that. Do I know if it works? I don't know. I don't know, but I know it's pretty spicy. And if the computer would make it seem easy, but I'll tell you, if I was analyzing this by myself, it might take a moment. Okay, so rook d1. Let's stress that the reason it just doesn't look right because you are not fixing any of your pieces when you play rook d1, right? And so the choices, I think, are pretty basic. You castle short and give up the exchange, or you castle long and put your king into a difficult situation, right? Okay. Now, does black have a clear advantage? I don't know. I don't know. I know that the computer told you that, but I don't know. I'm not clear at all about this business. Yeah. So e6 doesn't work. And then dude's computer says that bishop c6, castles, clear advantage. I don't know, man. I don't know. If I was white in this position, it's not immediately clear what is happening here. Especially in a practical game, there's a lot of questions about what's happening here because black's king is always going to be weak. The computer will say that black is better because of the bishops, but I'm just trying to say it's not so easy. So you look at it from the computer's perspective again, it'll seem like this is a really obvious situation. I'm here to tell you, if I was black, like maybe I would feel like I'm not dead or anything like that, but I'd definitely be worried, man. Because look, rook fe1, it's very concrete. I'm assuming we got to play e6 because if I get rook e3 in, baby, I don't know. So e6, knight f4. Game goes on. I don't know. Rook e3 is the threat. You know, you cannot move this bishop because then when I play knight g5, there's no h6. Not so easy for Mr. Dr. Sleazy, I'm telling you. So this is where it's really good not to use the computer. Okay, queen d7. Now it's like a bug house game, right? Now it's a bug house game. Bam, okay. Good move. Uh-oh. Let's read the notes. Yeah, I really can't explain this logically. I guess I thought that I had something if black's queen left b7. Okay. Now, it looks like, if I understand these notes here, that you spent a minute 56 on this move. This is the critical situation. And definitely you want to ask yourself about castles. Looks totally winning. Bam. Okay, now maybe it's hard. Queen a6, and now we're toast. How long did you take? Not much, boss. 10 seconds on that move. 10 seconds. It's all about time. So we're going to shame you too, buddy. Sharp games. Too fast. Too fast bows. So every time when I do this, I usually do an achievements thing for people we have an achievements channel, and if somebody wins a nice tournament or they graduate, I put them in the achievements, you know. And Sharp Games definitely deserves to go to the next cohort. But look, Sharp Games bows. You're holding back your progress, man. And let me just tell a quick story, because I want you to understand that it happens to every level of player. What's happening? Your system 2 is exhausted, and you're not thinking through the moves because A, you think your intuition is like, oh, this has got to be it, without checking it. And the reason your intuition is forcing you to do that is your mind doesn't have the juice left to be thinking about what's happening in the game. Right? And it happens to me as well as everybody else. So, for example, I was playing this last week, and there was one moment in particular where I was just like, I got nothing left. I got nothing left, man. And what happens is nothing left. It's not like you die, but you just end up playing the first thing that comes to your mind. And your mind is like so exhausted that it's like, I can't even bear to think deeply about this position, or try. You know, you can even go to like, I even did something, man, when I was like, okay, I'm gonna take some deep breaths, Bows. I'm gonna walk around. And maybe that helps a little bit, man, but you know, it's kind of like your tank is empty and it's gonna need a moment. And it's gonna need a moment. What is the point though? Is it's not, if you play more and you, first of all, you recognize that you're like, right, I can train this indefinitely. If you're moving this fast, it's a clear sign that your main source of improvement will be thinking longer. I don't know about that, Bows. It's all the way gone. Black's just kind of fooling around here. Oh, Black, I don't like the way Black is doing this. White resigned. No. Well, so, okay, it's done. Don't say anything, Kraai. So let's look at then what the lessons that Hector takes away from this. I think it's everything to do about time. Let's read what they say. Tough game, but I learned so much during the analysis. It almost feels like I wrote a course, like the computer wrote a course on that line. I have a new weapon with Bishop C4, a ton of new ideas, and I feel super confident. Finally, time management was very clearly my main flaw in this game. I've been slowly working on these annotations for 2 months, and I can say that it's getting better. I'm more conscious about it, but sometimes I still falter and return to my bullet playing brain. And going over this game is a very good reminder. Hey, Bows, Bows. That's right, dude. Yeah. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. Hector Gay's in the chat. Hector, dude, I'm really pumped at what you said at the end here, man. That was really good notes. And like I said, like when you go over your games, you will learn so much about the game of chess and the way you play it that your skill level is just going to increase dramatically, right? And you see here that it's not going to happen instantly. Like, for example, you still maybe have a bullet-addled brain, right? But you know now. So there's going to be little signs that are going to happen in your head when you're playing next time. And I definitely think I'm assuming this was played online on Lead Chess, that a good way to combat it is to place them over the board. Okay, brilliant. Let's do another one. And here we go. Let's have one more, and that is Cav. Cav, I don't know if this is a real graduation here with Cav. So we're just going to click on Cav. I don't know. So I'm going to go back, and something is, so let me describe it. I usually do this Tuesday, but I was at the tournament, so I didn't have the opportunity. I have maybe a way to find if I missed somebody. So we're going to try a trick. Okay, so if I go this week, no, that didn't work out. Wait a second, can I go for the month? I thought it used to be a thing to go for the month. So, for example, Okay, I think I found it. So I think William Wortman is also on this list because I missed like 2 days, right? And I'll click on again if there's more here. So William Wortman, and we got 123 points of gain. I like it a lot. Activity, tactics like crazy, more tactics, and a game analysis. So maybe we're going to find a game, 8 hours. So as we see, in the lower cohorts, it takes less time to do it, right? You will be flying. It's an interesting thing. Maybe even on our stats page, we could say how much time, what is the average time it takes, to graduate? Average time to graduate. Dude, that's really good. So it's cool for 2 reasons. One, for someone like me, it shows exactly like the difference in how long it takes at the lower cohorts as contrasted to the higher cohorts. But it also, if you're in one of those cohorts and it says average time 50 hours, well, then you're like, well, average 50 hours, dude. That's about what it's going to take, man, for me to make it. And that gives you a clear sense of like, well, this is, what's got to get done for me to make it to the next level. And then if for Kostya and he sees 2,000 hours, then dude knows. Then dude knows what it's going to take to make that next 2,500 bows. Okay. So, let's see if there's a game here from William. No. Okay, we'll wish William the best there. And then I think this was my trick to find if I missed somebody. No, I have to do this. Past week, I have to go this one. Just see if there's somebody else here. No. Okay, I'm going to pretend that I got everyone. And let's do something real fun. Quick and fun here. Let's go to the famous ChessCom. And let's just check in on what the results were. I was watching some of it yesterday. I might watch tomorrow. I might stream that. We'll see. All right, so here we go. Let's look at first results. So Magnus crushed the dude. That was an interesting game. So tomorrow's going to be the tiebreak. So less interesting for me, honestly, than watching, say, Magnus take down his countrymen here. They're both the Norwegian party, right? Okay. This Keimer kid's interesting. When I went on the German podcast a while back, they were like, Kraai, what do you think of this kid? And I was like, well, he's pretty good, man, but I don't think he's going to make it to the top level. And they got pissed. They were like, oh, come on. Don't say that, man. Don't say that. Well, we'll see. Here we get to see. And look at this, my friends. Let me just say, this is a real chump event in the sense that Magnus is clearly the best player ever, but it's not clear he's going to win this thing. There's too much wild variation. So here you got Nordebek losing, dude, to some chump. One of the best people in the world losing. Can happen. Can happen. You draw that first game and then you get burned out the next one. Totally possible. Okay, so Ivanchuk's going to the tie breaks. Shaq lost, dude. Man. See, so just because you're on top of the world doesn't mean you're going to make it. All right, Wang Hao, by the way, I played ages ago. And that kid said he was going to retire. Didn't retire. Can't. Just like Ivanchuk. Chucky might quit chess, but chess can't quit Chucky. Same thing for Wang Hao. All right. Here we go. We were talking, actually, I had an interesting conversation. I had a lot of interesting conversations the last couple of days over there, and I was at the U.S. Open, held concurrently with this senior championship thing I was doing. And we were talking about, there's a couple of people who have been banned. Interesting cases in their own right. But these people that are banned from playing, can they actually stop? Can they stop? Interesting question. I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can stop playing. Would you wear a little disguise? Obviously, you can create some online account or something that's not you. A different persona. Svidler wins. Cool. Van Forest from the beautiful Van Forest family wins. Dubov. Dubov is Mr. Pruess's favorite, so that's kind of cool. And then, this dude Saleh, I can't pronounce it. He's doing great. All right. So, back row, dude. I was thinking, actually, I was watching his game earlier, and ages ago, when that kid was a kid, I picked that kid to be like the next one. He had an amazing positional understanding. I think maybe his lack of determination studying, still an amazing player. But, I really thought the kid was going to be at least top 10, maybe a challenger for the world championship. Okay, Bluebaum is the other great German hope. This is interesting, this D guy. Okay. The last super tournament he was in, he got crushed. Like, it was like, welcome to the big boys club, bows. But here, he's playing some chumps. He's just wiping them out. So that'll be interesting to follow that. Axel Bachmann, this is that kind of a cool story. This kid's, he's not a kid anymore, but I played that guy ages ago, maybe 2005, won a nice game and stuff. And it's really cool to see, like, he was around 2,500 there. He did the 10,000 hours and made it up to 2,600, gets to play at this event, won the first round, and now has to face a true star. And of course, Nihal, people are really rooting for that dude in India. Okay, this is going to go to tie breaks. Jan doing his thing over here. Fabi crushing. Fabi, by the way, passed Naka, number 2 spot with this win. I think actually yesterday did it. And so my true sense is that even if Fabi's being a little loose these days, doing some podcasting, dude is still the number 2 in the world and will make it back to 2,800. He's not going to pass Magnus ever, okay? Unless some freak accident happens. But still, Fabi is the number 2 in the world. A wonder, man. Brilliant kid. I wonder if he has regrets about not taking chess more seriously. Because here he is. Look, dude. You could have taken a couple years off school. You didn't need to go do no chump school stuff. What are you talking about? You're here, you are, bud. This is a chance of a lifetime. You think when you're 40 or something, all washed up, maybe you got $1 million, you're going to be saying to yourself, I had a chance. I could have gone for it, man. What was I doing with school? What a chump thing. All right, Robeson's coming. Great. Here we go. Kostya's hanging out with like Robeson, these other people in St. Louis. Am I jealous? I'm jealous, dude. I'm jealous. Mazuglu, that guy says he's going to be the next coming. We'll see. You get a chance here, boss. You get a chance to show what you got. Cheparinov, maybe one of the best opening prep persons ever. And there's our friend Duda. We were picking him as a dark horse for the World Championship cycle. It'd be cool to see him get another shot. And also be cool to see Lanier. He's an ancient dude. Man. Also hanging out with Kostya in St. Louis. That'd be cool to see him make a run for it here. Now, you just got to feel bad about Sam because he lost to a dude named Shitko. You travel all across the world and then lose to a dude named Shitko. It's just not going to be a happy sight, dude. You have to go home and they're going to say, boss, who'd you lose to? Who took you out? Shitko. Shitko taught me out. Oh, why'd you have to play Shitko? Oh, man. To lose to Shitko. What are you doing, buddy? What are you doing losing to Shitko? There's this interesting thing, too, where Sam lost the first round, but he had black in the second. And an old school thing that the old timers would say was that if you're a GM, you should be able to hold the game with white, like draw with white. I don't really believe it. In any case, Sam got an interesting position, had chances, I feel, to at least try it out, play the Shitko. Game drawn. Time to go home. Shevchenko, there we go. Who else am I interested in? Wesley. Wesley was in trouble, dude. Wesley was in trouble, saved the draw in the second game, so that's going to go tie breaks. The famous Radjabov. I've also played Victor Edush back in the day. So, here we go. None of these people have a chance. MVL. That's going to go. That's going to go the distance. All right. Ruslan, the winner of the 1998 or whatever it was equivalent of this tournament. Thank the Lord this is no longer considered a world championship event. Can you imagine considering this chump event where anybody could win to be a world championship? Hey, Bows, come on. Come on, Bows. What are you saying? Huh? We had a debate, and our friend Jakob Agard was like, yeah, boss, those people in the 90s, man, that was for real. And we were like, no, boss, no, it wasn't. Gelfand is representing the old dudes. I think Gelfand's a year older than me. It ain't gonna be a pretty sight, my friend. Pragananda wins against MVL. Ooh, MVL, buddy. Sorry, man. Sorry, buddy. Sorry, man. And then there we go. So yeah, this will be, it's just a real chaotic event. Anybody could win this thing. If I follow it, I want to follow Magnus's games for two reasons. One, I'm just interested in Magnus and watching him play. But two, it would be just such a middle finger to the rest of the chess world if Magnus wins this thing. I talk a lot of smack about Magnus, and I'm not over it, Magnus, what you did to me and the World Championship thing. I'm not over it, okay? But if you play in this thing and you win it, it's like the joke you are perpetrating is at least funny, It's at least funny at that point. Whew, okay. Yeah, Keimer is through. All right, my friends, I'm out of here. It's been fun. Tell me who to raid. If you don't tell me, I'm just going to raid somebody. Oh, what's going on? It's not showing me who to raid. Oh, no. What? Oh, Bows. What? Oh. Maybe I'm not logged in proper or something? Oh, I know. I reset some of my business. So, somebody say, Great Donza, what do you mean he won't win the event for sure? I don't know. I mean, so he's definitely got a chance. I'm going to raid somebody. I don't even know who to raid, though. Raid US Chess. Okay. US Chess. Oh, they were streaming my business, I think, a little bit. Let's see if it works. It might not work. It looks like it's working. Because, anyways, I did a reset of my computer. My little cookies and stuff aren't saved, so I don't have my business on the left-hand side. My friends, Chess Dojo training program. I raid now.